Good morning and welcome to Local Business Focus. I'm Sally Barker. Joining us on the show today is Peter Trenaman from Groupsupport, proud station sponsor. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Sally. Thanks for having me. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. And you?
Excellent. Pretty good, yes. It's been an interesting week. Lots
Yes.
of new things and lots of stories to tell. But let's just recap for a moment, though.
Yep.
We've spoken about how the internet works and how things travel through the internet. We've spoken about when you're not sure of things, how to get someone alongside and to make sure that you have a relationship with someone, so that you can actually bounce things off them if you need to. Not physical things, ideas.
Hopefully.
We've spoken about doing the same things repeatedly so that you get into good habits. We've spoken about being diligent, being accurate, and looking out for the key principles to make your business better. And it applies to life as well, but we're just concentrating on business because life is just too hard a subject at the moment. So today we're talking about losing things. Have you ever lost anything?
Oh, yes. And what's the one saying? Of all the things I've loved and lost, my mind's the one I miss the most.
Yes, I can't promise about anything to do with your mind. But when in the tech world, we lose things all the time. And sometimes we don't care. Sometimes we don't mind so much. And sometimes they matter a lot. Recently, I lost my cabling bag, which is the thing that actually I use to terminate cables and blue cables and things like that out of the wall, just to repairs and things like that. And it bothered me for days. I had to go and get a new kit from scratch. What a pain. Cost me time, cost me money. And in files, when you do Excel files or Word files or emails, is that the same? And in most people's case, it's yes.
Yes.
Okay. So today we're talking about how to prevent those things and how to alleviate the pain. And I've termed this sort of session the mitigation monster. So the mitigation is the act of reducing the severity, the seriousness, or the painfulness of something. Now, I'll add the word bad at the end of it because you don't want to reduce the severity or seriousness of something that's good.
Yes.
You want to get all that. That's really good. So mitigation, disaster mitigation, is all what the whole concept of IT is about when it comes to this side of things. We had a situation with one of my clients, Frank. In fact, all my clients are Frank, as you well know by now.
Yeah.
He needed to prove that he'd signed a contract for a specific stipulation. Okay, with a vendor, he had agreed to a certain thing. He thought he'd agreed to it. Was convinced that was the case. The value of the impact, whether he could prove or not, was about $40,000 a year.
Wow.
So some significant money involved. But they couldn't find it because the backups that they had didn't include the email folders on a particular machine he was using.
Right.
So Frank decided to bluff his way, okay, which is all very well, but he got to a point where the legal process stepped in and he was asked to prove it. Okay, he was unable to do so. So it cost him his court costs and a whole lot of other things as well. Pretty bad, much of a shame, and bitter and twisted is how he came out of that whole thing. I don't like my clients being in that role. I don't like seeing them bitter and twisted, much like you don't like seeing your friends or your kids or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I just hate that carelessness, that idea that you have a file or something that is important, that's worth money, that you spent time on, that you've crafted, being lost. You can't find it. It's a waste, just a complete waste.
Yeah.
So, my apologies. In Australia, we use Australian products. We use Australian services and suppliers. And one of the key pieces of software we use is an Australian product. It's good for having a diverse range of features available to it. We also then use remote repositories, which are cloud storage, and people providing off-site solutions. We use on-site solutions as well, and wherever we can, we use Australian products there too. So let me just give you a couple of scenarios so you understand. We have a cloud storage solution in Perth here, where we back up data from our client to a remote location. It's secure. It's highly accessible. It's accessible from the internet from 3 or 4 different providers, so that should something go wrong, a machine break down or a site burn down or whatever, they can go to the site, this Perth site, pick up the data on hard drive, put it in a new machine that we provide them, okay, and they'll be back up and running full scope within a couple of hours. And for a business, that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Other people want to be able to have something a little bit more remote, so we've got repositories in Sydney, okay. We have one client who doesn't trust the cloud, okay, so he has a little box in his home, okay, and he backs up work to home.
Right.
Okay, so he needs some extra equipment. He needs a power board that's a protected power board. Don't get one of the Bunnings ones. You know, $10 you pay for what you get,
Yes.
or you get what you pay for. That's it. That's the better one. You get what you pay for. It offers no protection at all. All it is just circuitry. So you need to spend a little bit of money and get one of the ones that actually has some sort of guarantee about the equipment that it's got. I mean, and any one of them that offer a guarantee are good enough. If you want to make sure that your backups continue, even if the power fails, especially if you're in an area that does have power failures, you need a UPS, okay? And you need something that will last. Backups take a long time. Backups can take 6, 8, 10 hours, okay? So you need to measure that in when you're calculating a UPS. And so this gentleman has a 2-bay NAS, a little box with 2 hard drives in it, a UPS, which will keep the UPS running for about 3 hours.
So for people who don't know, what is a UPS?
A UPS is your battery backup.
Yep.
Okay, so it will keep if the power goes off, it will keep the battery will keep the box going for the time the power's out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it gets to the end of the life of the battery unit, the smarts on the unit, will actually send a signal to the box and say, it's time to shut down now. And so you get to do it in an orderly fashion. And in an orderly fashion means things can close off properly, which is part of the reason you're backing up in the first place, is you don't want to lose things if there's a sudden disruption to service. Mm-hmm. Okay. All the cloud service providers have large generators that can run off diesel and all that sort of stuff, and have a massive amount of investment in power to make sure they keep going 24/7. So it wouldn't matter if they had power failures or not. They've got backup units on backup units, okay? And that's what you pay for. It does cost a bit of money, and some people go that way rather than investing in their own equipment. So this Frank has the unit at home, okay? He checks on it a couple of times a week, and that's about it. He doesn't need to do much more. He doesn't need to vacuum around it, make sure it doesn't get dusty, because dust is the enemy of the electronics. But he can then see and touch the unit. And on more than one occasion, something's happened and he's gone home, grabbed the unit, brought it into the office. We've restored files that he's needed, restored the system that he's missing or that's gone wrong, and he's taken it back home again the same day. So
Happy Frank.
Happy Frank. Yes, we like happy Franks. I was going to talk to you a bit about how the different types of backups, and that's an important concept because people say just a backup. Well, the backup is a copy. But there's some specifics with backups that in the technical world make things faster, makes things more assured, and actually makes the nightly or daily transition and transmission smaller so that you can keep more information, okay, and you can back up more information. The most common one is called grandfather, father, son, okay. Now, grandfather, father, son is obviously an age thing, okay. So if you imagine you keep a copy of each day's transactions, whether that be Word or Excel or a financial transaction in a database, every day for a week. So that's your son. Then you keep every week for, say, 3 months. So that's your father. So if you wanted to go and get a file from Tuesday last week, it would be there because Tuesday last week Well, it depends if you have two sons or not, So if today's Monday and you wanted last Tuesday's backup, then you could go and get it because Tuesday hadn't been overwritten yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if you if today's Friday, okay, and you wanted last Thursday's already been written over by yesterday.
Yeah.
Do you follow me?
Yes.
So some people keep two weeks worth of sons. Some people keep 3 weeks worth of sons, and some people keep 4.
Right.
It's all dependent upon the amount of space you want to use with backups.
Right.
Okay. And so what happens is that after a week, what happens is that the backups are all consolidated for last week into one item, which, say for instance, nominally would be Sunday. And so Sunday consolidates all last week. So if something happened during the week, you may have that file, you may not. Now we go back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, back 3 months. And at that point, we do the same culling process to a month basis. You generally find that individual files have less worth or less identification, especially on versionings, after that sort of time. And so people tend to worry more that they've got a copy of the document, not worrying which version of the copy they've got.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what
Yes.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it depends upon the client. Some franks want each version, and they want 6 versions backed up, and some franks only want 1. They don't care. And so you just go back months, and then obviously the great-grandfather is the year. Okay, so you might have one which is every annual year, or every year at Christmas, or whatever you're doing. Financial advisors usually take a copy of the databases at 30th June, which is end of financial year, and then they take a second one, which is almost as important, once all the adjustments have been made. So there's usually 2 each year, okay? And they're vitally important, and they are siphoned out of the system and kept in perpetuity, I suppose is one word, but in another backup area, okay? And the NAS drives we use, which is network accessible storage, it's like a PC, but with no screen on it. Okay, it doesn't run Windows, doesn't run games, it just runs hard drives. Okay, so it's just a storage. And it comes off a blue cable, so you don't need a USB cable. You don't need anything, a PC to attach to it. You can get to it over the internet, over the network. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's one option, and that's one of the most reliable options we use. Other options include tapes. Tapes are still in use.
Really?
Really. Not the cassette tapes that you used to run your Commodore 64 on or your Amstrad. No, the tapes now are sort of 20, 60, 100 gigabyte. They're fast reading tapes. They're single-ended, so one end isn't attached, so they float free. Mm-hmm. So the machines can deal with them far quicker. They're indexed. They're good bits to keep, but of course they have limitations too. They degrade with being media and those sort of things. So there's USB drives, and USB drives have always had a problem because they can easily write on. But what goes easily on also comes easily off, and they crash, they burn, they die, they have a lifetime specifically. So we try to stay away from the actual hard drives that are USB drives that are lifted and carried, that are moved around, bumped by clients. We try to keep things static. And one way of keeping things static is a NAS drive. And a bigger version of a NAS drive is a SAN, which is a server-based multi-drive storage. So it doesn't move, you can't lift it, it's a big thing. But a NAS is a little shoebox style things, sitting at home or in the office. We have one Frank who has a NAS in his office, and the NAS at home just synchronises. Everything that's on one goes to the other. He's not particularly worried about history. He's not particularly worried about versions. What he is worried about is the ability that if something goes wrong, he wants to be able to see it, and anywhere he is, he sees the same thing.
Right.
That's all about mobility and all that sort of stuff. And there's more questions to ask at the end of all that.
So I think, if this all was a little bit too much to take in, you need to find someone to talk to.
Of course.
To get all your backup issues sorted.
Absolutely.
All
Yes.
right, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Local Business Focus. Peter Trenaman from Groupsupport, proud station sponsor.
Thanks for having me.